Welcome back, dear children. This is a slide where we left. Nishad looked thoughtful. I would like to find out why he's so thin and why he's so lonely. I want to know why he doesn't have any friends and why he lives alone. These are the doubts of Nishad. Okay, now Maya wished to answer all these questions. Try to understand 7. I told him if he lived in Shankar's house for a year and hasn't made a single friend, nor even one friend in that house, right? Then there is something wrong. He obviously scared that someone will recognize him and give him up to the cops. So he was afraid about himself. He feels guilty. He don't like to mingle with others because he thinks that others will recognize him as a thief and they will give him to the cops. These are the things, that is the reason why he is alone. So Maya answered this question. Maybe no one has tried to make friends with him. Apostrophe S represent has. Okay, no one has tried to make friends with him. Nishad protested. So always Nishad tries to support Mr. Nath. Nishad protested. So why should anyone bother? You have seen what a nasty bear he is, I said. Okay. I don't care, said Nishad stubbornly. I like him and I'm going to try to be his friend. Friends with a crook? Huh? You're crazy. 7, I said. You're crazy, 7. Who said? Maya said. The cops will take you to jail, take you also to jail with him. Along with him, you are also going to go to jail. Do you want that to happen? You idiot. So all these are words of Maya. Now, Nishad merely glared at me and quietly walked out of the room. Nishad is not at all ready to accept what Maya said. He quietly went out of the room. My theory seems to have made no impression on him at all. So whatever Maya said doesn't influence anything to Nishad. Nishad was in his own way. So this was a story written by Sharada Dwedi from The Broken Flute. Right? Children, do you have any doubt in this? Is it clear? Yes. Shall we move to the summary, dear? Expert detectives summary. Right? First is Mysterious Mr. Nath. This is a heading like an essay. Nishad and his 10-year-old sister Maya has always been inquisitive about their neighbor Mr. Nath. One day, their marbles went inside his house and Nishad got a chance to catch a glimpse of Mr. Nath. To Nishad, he appeared to be a crook running away from the cops. He had a bad scar in his face and didn't have any friends. But Mr. Nath is a patient to their mother, who is a doctor by profession. Whose mother is a doctor? Yes, Nishad's mother is a doctor. Their mother had told him that he is a polite man. Nishad is also called 7 because his name meant the 7th note of the musical scale. Now, soft-hearted Nishad. The two children were busy discussing their mysterious neighbor. They argued about his financial wealth, how he manages his food, and so on. Nishad thinks that he is poor and doesn't have much money, while Maya believes that he has got a lot of it and has kept it hidden somewhere in his room. Then It was Mr. Nath's car that bothered the children. They thought that he might have got during a shootout with police. On their mother's birthday, Nishad went along with her to clinic. He happened to see Mr. Nath there. He was worried seeing Mr. Nath's gaunt appearance. Too much of scars and very difficult to see that face. That the evening, Nishad went to his place and gave a bar of chocolate to Mr. Nath on behalf of his mother's birthday. Nishad went to Mr. Nath's home and gave a bar of chocolate. Nishad befriended Ramesh, the boy who used to bring food for Mr. Nath from a nearby restaurant. Ramesh informed him that Mr. Nath had 2 meals a day and tea in morning and evening. His meal was the same every day and always used to pay cash and tips as well. He brings 2 lunches in Sunday and it is the same visitor he finds there. The visitor was a tall, stout and spectacled man who talks a lot while Mr. Nath is a quiet person. The children were thrilled and they were discussing the possibilities of Mr. Nath being a crook. So now Maya's facts. Their school opened after the summer holidays. The next day, but they could not attend it because of heavy rain. Nishad was busy reading his comics when Maya informed that she had done. She had made a note of everything they knew about Mr. Nath, calling them facts and gave a number to each of them. Nishad disagreed with Maya for calling Mr. Nath a criminal. Right? Now, can you able to understand this, dear? Yes? Next, both the children had an argument and Nishad was upset with Maya for calling Mr. Nath a crook. Nishad was interested only in finding out why Mr. Nath was so thin and a lonely person. He wanted to be his friend and Maya's theories didn't have any impact on 7. So that's it. Now we'll go into the recap session. I'm going to ask you questions, right? So question number 1, he must have lots of money hidden somewhere, maybe in that trunk in his room. It's probably full of silver, gold and jewels. Now Maya's opinion about Mr. Nath is that he has millions of rupees. The millions of rupees are imagined to be hidden in the trunk, right? The author is speaking to Nishad. Almost every Sunday, this is question number 2, the paragraph is given. From that paragraph, we'll ask you question. Right, almost every Sunday, he carries 2 lunches to Mr. Nath's room and the same man is with him each time. He's tall, fair, stout and wears spectacles. Ramesh says his visitor talks a lot, unlike Mr. Nath, who hardly speaks. Who carries 2 lunches? Ramesh carries 2 lunches. Who is speaking to whom? Nishad is speaking to Maya. Now, how can the information be useful? The information can be useful to catch the crook. Now, question number 3 is, criminals can look quite ordinary. Did you see the picture of a Hyderabadi housebreaker in the papers yesterday? He looked like any man on the street. Now, Nishad could not believe Mr. Nath to be a crook. According to Nishad, an ordinary man cannot be a crook. That is what is a kid. Even the Hyderabadi housebreaker was an ordinary looking man. So now question number 4. If you insist on calling him a criminal, I don't think I want to discuss anything with you, Maya, said Nishad angrily. He can't be such a bad man if he gives Ramesh such generous tips. Who is being called a criminal? Mr. Nath. Why is Nishad angry? Nishad is angry because Maya insists that Mr. Nath is a criminal. What is Nishad's opinion about a man? About the man? Nishad thinks that Mr. Nath is a very generous person. So, question number 5. I don't care, said Nishad stubbornly. I like him and I'm going to try to be his friend. The above statement shows 7 to be stubborn. Nishad expressed his desire to be friend with Mr. Nath. Now, after many warnings, Nishad still thinks Mr. Nath to be good. He is therefore a silent admirer. See, Mr. Nath was an admiration to Nishad. Right, comprehension check. What did Nishad give Mr. Nath? Why? Nishad had been very upset about the weak looks of Mr. Nath. He thought he was starving. So, taking pity on Mr. Nath, Nishad gave him a bar of chocolate. What is strange about Mr. Nath's Sundays? The strange thing about Mr. Nath's Sunday is a visitor. On every Sunday, the same visitor comes to him. He's a talkative man. He does all the talking while Mr. Nath hardly speaks. He was very silent, right? He is tall, fair, stout and wears spectacles. Why did Nishad and Maya get a holiday? Nishad and Maya got an unexpected holiday from the school. The school remained closed because of heavy rains on that day. Right? So what does Nishad find out about Mr. Nath from Ramesh? You have to arrange the information. Now what he eats, when he eats, what he drinks and when he drinks, how he pays, all that. So Nishad finds out from Ramesh that Mr. Nath eats 2 meals a day, morning and evening. It's always the same food. What is that? 2 chapatis, some dal and a vegetable. Mr. Nath drinks tea. He takes 1 cup of tea in the morning and 1 cup in the afternoon. He pays cash and tips well. Why does Maya think Mr. Nath is a crook? Who does she say the Sunday visitor is? Seems to be an important question, dear. Maya thinks Mr. Nath is a crook for many reasons. Mr. Nath has many scars in his face. She thinks that he got them during a shootout or something like that. Mr. Nath has no friends except a visitor who comes on Sunday. People around him also stared at him. He does nothing but pays cash for what he eats and drinks. Maya thinks that his Sunday visitor is his accomplice in crime. Right? So does Nishad agree with Maya about Mr. Nath? How does he feel about him? No, Nishad does not agree with Maya about Mr. Nath. He feels that Mr. Nath is a poor, lonely man. Check it out, Mr. Nath here. He wants to be his friend and help him. He also considers him generous because he tips Ramesh well. So this is match the following and you have to check it out. Fingertips, the end of one's finger. So go through this, you will get an idea here. So next question is fill in the blanks with the most commonly used words. Business partner, my companion on the journey. Little helper, faithful companion, thief's accomplice, good helper, tennis or golf or bridge partner, his accomplice in his criminal activities. So this is also a match. Just check the answers, right? Complete all the book exercises and class works, dear. Thank you so much. And if you have any doubt, Just go through the lesson. Call me at any time. Thank you.